I am so happy that you're able to join us for this extended interview. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get more killer resources. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this extended interview with Stephanie, where she's going to share how to get the courage to leave your dream job. Ooh, this is a good one.
No.
So, Steph, you have left your dream job. Tell us a little bit about them and how did you get the courage to actually leave them?
So, just a little backstory. I'm 30, so when I graduated college, I really wanted to work in sports TV. So I was really grateful to have the opportunity to work at Fox Sports and their national sports team. And so I did everything from the NFL to the Daytona 500 to the World Series to all of these big events, which was amazing. And I really wanted to, do the Super Bowl. And so I worked my butt off to get there. And after I did that, I realized that, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to do this anymore. But most of the people that I work with and the executives at the company, they'd been there forever. Why would you leave? And it was really difficult leaving. And I made the move. And then when I left, I was like, I want to be a producer for Travel Channel. So I had never even left the continent. I'd never traveled. And so I worked really hard. I went and traveled on my own. I worked in other television shows to try and build enough credentials and skills to get to that point. And then I got a job working on a show for Travel Channel. And I did it, and it was amazing, and it was great. And then I kind of reached a point where I was like, well, this wasn't everything. I felt like it was time to move on. But here I was, again, leaving another dream job that, for anyone, I think outside looking in, I was crazy to do because I had worked so hard, put in another 4 years to try and get there, and I did it, and I left. And I'm at the point now where I don't really know exactly what the next step is. I'll figure it out. But each time you leave is really difficult. And I think when I knew it was time to leave was I realized that I wasn't fully happy with what I was doing. And I think we can all at some point realize that we all aren't always going to be happy at our jobs. But I think when you know that there's no either, you don't want to move upward within the company. Or a big thing that I used was I looked around at everyone above me and there was no one's job that I wanted. I couldn't place myself and say, I want this down the line in the future. I'd kind of already accomplished what I wanted to there. And so I also wasn't learning as much as I wanted to. And so I think that when you know it's the right time there's a lot of different factors, but take into account if you're learning, if you're being challenged, and if you're happy with what you're doing in your day to day. You don't want to wake up and be miserable going into work. But granted, there's going to be a month or so at a time that you might not be fully content, and that's fine because in every job there's going to be hardship. But I think you when it's just a time being thing or it's I got to make a move.
I guess everybody does this, right? When you get comfortable and you get really scared and you just stay in one place. But then you also have to think if you're growing, and you're right, that's such a great way to actually see if you want to keep staying, as if there was somebody above you that their job is something that you wanted to have. So that's a great way to look at it in that sense. Now, when you finally left, what was the first steps that you took to get to the next phase in your life?
Well, I actually moved across the country. When I was working in sports, I was in LA, and I had wanted to live in New York, and I actually used the move to make that transition because it was sort of a fresh start, and it was also a way to me to have people that I worked with in the past and at my current job to help me to make that transition. Like, it wasn't personal, and I explained, I was like, this is something that I need to do. I want to make the move. I think if you're not going to a direct competitor with a company, then people will be very open to helping you, especially if you're early on in your career. Yeah, I mean, I used my network with who I had met in the sports industry, and I just slowly went from there. And you're not going to probably leave right off the bat and all of a sudden be successful in whatever your next phase is. That's not how it's going to work. So you have to know that there is going to be a transitional phase for sure.
When you're leaving these dream jobs, obviously these are dream jobs for most people, it must have been so hard because you thought that this was something that you really wanted and you've worked for this for all of your life. How do you not lose your identity, and how do you go from there? Because this is so tough.
Yeah, I think when you work towards something and you have this idea and this position, this job in your head, whether it be being a travel blogger, like you see all these people working for it, and once they get it and they're successful at it, some people don't like it. And you know what? That's okay to say, like, I don't want to do this anymore, because no one else is judging you. Like, you don't have to stick with it because you have put out there that you want to do this. You can work for it, and then you can get there and realize that maybe that, yes, this is a dream job. The jobs that I had were a dream job. They then just weren't my dream jobs. It's okay. I don't think it's not quitting, because you're moving on. You're taking that experience and figuring out exactly what you want to do. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a quote unquote dream job. Like, I really don't. Like, what I've found is I love doing new things and trying new things. And I think I'm always going to continuously want to just try a new, maybe not industry, but I'm always going to have to keep changing things up a little bit.
And I think there's a lot of us who have that type of mentality where we just want to do more new things. And we feel like, because everybody tells you, right, you shouldn't do that. You should just stay at a job and that's it. And that's what you should be doing. Stability, comfort, all of those things. And when you're someone like Steph and myself as well, like we don't think that way. There's people like us, there's people like all of you who are listening to this who feel the same way and don't feel bad when this is something that you really want to do with your life, because honestly, you're learning as you're going, and there's always something that you're learning from it. It's not like you're wasting your time. And when we're growing older, we're also changing as people, so it's not always going to be the same thing. Before we even did this interview, we talked about you leaving a job where you were traveling constantly and now you have a home base. What made you decide to do that?
It kind of got to the point where I love travel. I do. And it got to the point where I was dreading traveling. And it's kind of like when they say, don't go work at your favorite restaurant because you're never going to want to eat there anymore. Or like, don't go meet your idol because they'll probably let you down. It was sort of like that to me. It got to the point where I didn't want to get on a plane anymore. And I wanted to go back to the days when I could just go travel for myself. And it wasn't necessarily, yeah, sure, I have to pay for it now, but it's something that I love, and I wanted to get back to the place of loving it. And I think I'm back there now. And again, I'm still open to traveling for work. I think I just hit a point where I needed a break, and I needed to get back, have somewhat of a normal life, and rejuvenate, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And it's different when you're traveling for yourself and you're traveling for work, because it's not a vacation and you're not enjoying it, even though we try to make it look like that. It's not. And it's so different. It's a totally different experience when you're doing that for work. So that was a good choice for you. And I've talked to other travel bloggers and people in the travel industry that feel the same way as you. So now, when you left your dream jobs, There was a lot of things happening, and was there ever a point where you questioned yourself, and how do you appreciate all the accomplishments that you have already accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be times when you look back and you question whether you made the right decision. I know, especially when I left Fox Sports, that was really hard. You know, I can watch these games and these events and be like super proud of that I had the opportunity to be a part of them in the past, and can also, you know, appreciate the hard work that goes into it. My previous coworkers, they're killing it, and I know how much work goes into that, and I had the opportunity to once be a part of it, and that was my decision, and I don't regret it. But you are going to have moments, especially right after leaving, that you're going to see other people kind of doing the same thing, which again, you have to think, and you're like, that what you see on social media or whatever, you don't see the work and the hardship that goes into it. And whatever works for you and makes you happy should be what you do.
Definitely, and that's why you were able to transition to all of these different things, and you're figuring it out as you go, like most of us, right? So no one's life is perfect, even though it does look like it sometimes on social media.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Steph, for all of this incredible
Thank
tips that you gave us. I really appreciate it. Now, if our listeners want to know more about you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Steph Ferg, STEPH FERGGG. So 3 G's at the end, and I'm private right now, but we'll probably make it public. I don't know. I go back and forth. Just follow me.
Yeah.
I'll accept you.
Maybe she will, maybe she won't. If she will, then you may be invited to some pizza party.
In space.
In space. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this extended interview with Stephanie. Make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to get the full interview with Stephanie, where she shares how to make every day count and become a freelance TV producer. Hey Offbeat family, I really appreciate you listening to this episode. I would love to hear more from you and what you think of the podcast. Suggestions on guests, topics we can discuss, or maybe you just want to be friends. Why don't we chat some more on Facebook at The OB Life, or send me a message at hello@theoffbeatlife.com. I can't wait to hear from you.